Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well today. So it's Friday and we are doing the last of our Swan Castle themed drawings. And you guys are gonna follow along with me. So grab your paper and your pencil and we'll get started. So today we are doing a coat of arms. And a coat of arms is something that symbolizes the royal family or whoever lived in the castle. And most of these castles, right, was where the king and the queen lived. And so all their soldiers, the shields, somewhere in the castle would have the coat of arms. And it had all the symbols in the coat of arms would represent that family. So the Swan King, or King Ludwig, who created Neuschwanstein Castle that we talked about the other day, who was the Swan King, has a swan in his coat of arms. But for our coat of arms today, we are going to do bears. So we're going to start out with our page in a vertical format. So up and down, right? It's going to be tall, just like this. And we are going to divide our page up a little bit in half. Okay, so we're going to start from the top, and I'm going to just do a couple pencil lines so I know where the center of my page is. And you can erase these later if you'd like, but we're just using them as a guide. Okay, so I'm not sure if you can see those. I'll make them a little darker for you. But they're just little lines at the edge of my page so that I know where my center is, okay? You don't have to do it through the entire image. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start in the center of my page and I'm gonna do an oval, okay? Now, in the center here is where I want my oval. I don't want it too big, and I wanna make sure I leave a good amount of space on either side of my oval. So, I'm gonna get started here. Okay, and there's my oval. That's the first part of my coat of arms. And this is the center that's gonna represent the shield within the shield, okay? All right, step one. Okay, now step two, what I wanna do is, now around my oval, I wanna make sure I give myself enough space. So what I'm gonna do with pencil is, I'm going to create the outside of my shield so that I know how much space I have to create my bears. Okay, so what I want to do is do a little bit of a curve on each side. Okay, so starting from my center point, and I'm going to curve out and out. Now I did that with my pencil first. Now I'm going to go over it with my marker. You can keep yours just in pencil if you'd like. Just like that. All right, now the tricky part. Straight down, I have my line here. I'm gonna put a point right there. And that's where I wanna connect the corners of the top of my shield. All right, are you ready? Here we go. We're gonna do a nice curved line, just like that, to connect these. Okay, so your top curve should be fairly close to the edge of your page. Okay, here we go, ready? From that top corner, all the way down, curve it. Right to that point. All right, we're gonna do the other side. Now, this is where it gets tricky because we want both sides of the shield to look pretty similar, okay? So you wanna curve down all the way to the bottom, okay? So you kinda want the same shape. So let's see how we do. Ready? We're gonna start from that top corner and we're gonna curve all the way down to our point. How'd you do? Ready, good? All right, so if you have an eraser and you feel like this side is too tiny, right, or too big, let's adjust that now before we get into our bears. All right, I'm gonna get rid of my bottom edge now because I don't need that. All right, here we go. Are we ready for our bears? Our first bear is gonna be the bear on the right, okay? So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna start slightly above my oval because that's where I want his head to be. All right, here we go. I'm going to start with his little snout, just like that. And I'm going to curve up and around to make the top of his head. Now, I stopped short because I need to add his cute little ear right there. Just like that. And now we have to do our second ear on the other side. Now, the ear on the other side is slightly behind his head, right? So we're not going to see all of it. So we're just going to give a little bit poking out from behind. All right, now let's put his nose in, just like that. Okay, and an eye. Let's do his eyes. See where this little point is from his snout to the top of his head? Right about there. Okay, now we have the big part of his body that we have to do, the main part. So I'm gonna have his little snout curve down into his neck, just like that. And then we're gonna do the outside of his body. Okay, now we're gonna take the outside of his body almost to the bottom of our oval. Right about there, okay? Not all the way to the bottom, about there. See that? Okay, here we go. If you want, put your finger here so that you have a little bit of a guide. Right there. Okay, so his body's gonna curve and his little bottom is gonna be closer to the edge of that shield. Now, if you're much closer than I am, that's okay, don't worry about it. We just wanna make sure we leave enough room for his little fuzzy tail. Okay, put that in. All right, now we wanna do the opposite side. So we did his back, we're gonna do his tummy. So we're gonna start at his chest, right where we had that line of his neck. And we're gonna skip a little space for his arm. And then we're gonna curve his tummy down right so that it looks like it's gonna connect, okay? This is gonna be his leg. All right, notice everything's still above the bottom of the oval, okay? Let's do his arm. His arm is gonna start like an upside down U, right? Kind of starting right at his neck, okay? Upside down U, and then we're gonna curve it around for his arm, or his forearm, I should say. Just like that. Okay, that's arm number one. Now, if you want, you can give him some little claws. Let's do that. So we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 little claws. All right, now his leg. Okay, similar to how we did the arm, we're gonna do a chubby U for the top of the leg. Okay, a chubby U, just like that. Okay, and now we're gonna do the bottom of his leg. We're gonna start with the back, and I'm gonna do a little zigzag to show that he's a little fuzzy. Just like that. And now we're gonna do the front, in the front of his foot. We're gonna do a little fuzzies on his knee. We're gonna curve around, just like that. Okay, now you can do the same thing that you did with his hand on his foot, and we're gonna do his little claws. So we'll do 4 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. So now we have the arm and the leg closest to us, right? Now we can do the ones on the back side of his body that are farthest away from us. So those obviously are overlapped by the body. So we're only gonna see part of them, just like with the ear and the tail. We only see part of them because they're on the other side of his body. They're away from us. So we're gonna start with his leg. And we're gonna curve around, just like that. See how similar that is to this leg in the front? And now we're gonna do his foot. We're gonna pull that out. We're gonna give him a heel and then curve back up. And that's gonna disappear behind. 1, 2, 3, 4 little claws. And we're almost done. Okay, so we have his other arm back here that we're gonna do, but before we do that, we want to give our shield a little bit of detail, okay? So what I wanna do is I'm gonna start from the bottom and I'm gonna do a really wide V down here. So I'm gonna start from my center point. Okay, make a dot. So that's kind of my center. And I'm gonna go up from that center and kind of frame the bottom of the oval. Just like that. And you can kind of see it mimics the bottom of the shield, the shape. Okay, so it's a very wide V. All right, now we want to take that up and we're going to curve it in the opposite way of the outside of our shield. So the outside of our shield curves out. We want our next curve to curve in. So here we go. We're going to start from the edge of that wide V and we're going to curve up and out. And we're going to point it basically to Mr. Bear's eye. Okay, just like that. All right, now we want to do another bear on this side, okay? But I want you to look where his paw is positioned over here. We're going to do the edge of this shield, but we're going to stop right in about the same place on the opposite side because we're going to put Mr. Bear on this side as well, okay? So our shield, or our coat of arms, is going to have two bears. So we're going to stop right about there because that's where his arm would be. And then we're going to skip a little space and go up, just like that. All right, now I think it's time to get to our second bear. And this one's going to be a little tricky because we want to kind of mirror what we have over here. They are okay to be different, but I'm going to do my best to do the same bear, the same size, and the same position on the left side as I did on the right, okay? So I'm gonna start with his arm because I already have this gap and I already know where it is, right? So if you want, you can kind of run your hand across. Here's the top of his arm. Here's the top of his arm. So you give yourself a guide. Here's the bottom of his arm. Run it right across. There's the bottom of his arm, okay? So now I have basically 3 points of reference. I have the top, the bottom, and I have where his hand is going to go. So now I'm just going to start at the top line that I made, curve it around. I'm going to do that U again, that upside down U, and then I'm going to curve into that empty space on the shield to complete his hand. Little hand, just like that. Okay, and his little claw. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now is it exact? No, and that's okay, but it's close. All right, now we can do his tummy because that's easy enough. You see there's a little space here between the shield and bear number 1. We're gonna leave a little space on the left side as well. So I'm gonna pull his tummy down and I'm following that curve. Look, that's pretty close to the same, right? So I'm following that curve right down there. All right, we're gonna do his back side. So this curve, if you look at his body, it's almost an egg shape, right? So let's see what we can do here. All right, we have somewhat of an egg shape. Let's get his little tail on the back side there, just like that. Great, and now let's do his head because of course he needs a head. All right. Let's do his snout first. So I'm just gonna start with Mr. Bear's nose on the right and I'm gonna run my hand right across. And I think that's a good position. So I'm gonna start just how I started with first bear and curve around just like that. Okay, let's put his nose in there because he has to breathe, of course. All right, now we're close to done. With his head, let's curve that around and curve down into his neck. And then we need his ear. Ear number 1. And then where's that other ear gonna go? It's gonna go behind, right? So we just see a little bit of that. His eyeball. Okay, and then the back of his head. Just like that. All right, legs. And then our bears will be complete. Let's do that big chubby U, just like that. And let's see where the bottom of our foot is gonna go. It's gonna be right about there. So I'm gonna do a little dash right in that spot. Run my hand across. And now I'm gonna connect. And do a little fuzzy in the back and curve down to that line, just like that. And I'm gonna do a little fuzzy on the front and curve down to finish off his foot. Okay. And don't forget his little claws. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I'll do the back leg. All right, again, I'm kind of going across. This is where his foot is. Okay. Front and back. Little claw. How'd you do? Brilliantly, right? Okay, so we're almost done. Now what I want to do, at the top of my shield, I want to add a crown. Okay, now you can be totally creative with this. I'm going to show you how to lead up to the crown, and then you can do any sort of crown you want. All right, here we go. What I want to do is I want to curve up from each of these points at the corner of the shield that we made in the center. I'm going to curve up and stop. Okay, I don't want to close this shape. So 1, and you can see that the bear is looking up to the top of this shield, right? 2. All right, now at the top of this is where our crown is going to sit. So I'm gonna do 2 lines for the base of my crown. All right, now your crown is gonna flare up from this. Again, you can do any sort of crown you want. I'm gonna draw mine. Okay, you can follow along or you can be creative. Okay, that's the start of mine. Okay, so you can see the center of my crown is pointing up to the center of my shield. Okay, so all this lines up, or it should. Close enough, right? Okay, now I'm gonna put some jewels in my crown because a crown always has jewels. All right, perfect. Now we're gonna do the bottom of our shield. Okay, and down here at the bottom, we're just gonna do some decorative swirls that our bears will be sitting on. So the first thing I'm gonna do is a little leaf shape. It's almost like a fleur-de-lis. Just like that. Okay, you can see it comes down to a point. Again, emphasizing the center of our shield. All right, now the fun part. So we're gonna do some curves, and we want to try and do the same on the right as we do on the left, okay? So my first curve is going to be where my bear is standing. So I'm going to start from my little leaf shape here, and I'm going to curve up to the bear's foot, and I'm going to go through it and curve back up to make a little vine shape, okay? I'm gonna do the same on this side, or try. So I'm gonna start in the same place. I'm gonna go to my bear's foot, curve, and then flip my little leaf up. Just like that. So it almost looks like a mustache, right? A little curly mustache. All right. Now, the second part of our curve is gonna curl around almost like a 6. Here we go. We're gonna start from the same place down here at the end of our leaf. And we're gonna go like that. Okay? Like a 6. And we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Mine got a little wonky. So what I want to do is I want to give this a thickness, right? So you can see our first little mustache here, that has a thickness to it. I want to do the same thing here on our curve. So I'm going to curve around just like that. I think I'm going to do this one on the outside because this one got a little bit thin. Let's see. So you can play with these. They don't have to be exactly like mine. It can be whatever you desire. All right, and then we'll do a little one in the center. Just like that. Okay, we have one last step. What we are going to do is we are going to connect this vertical line here to separate our shield into 4 shapes. So right down the center, you can see that I didn't overlap my shield. I left that open. And now remember these lines we put on the sides? We're going to go to the bear on either side. So from the edge of the shield to the bear, from the edge of the shield to the bear. Now a lot of times a coat of arms will have colors in these. So maybe this one will be blue and this one will be blue and this one will be red and this one will be red. So opposites, almost like a checkerboard, okay? All right, so now what you can do inside your shield here, you can put your family name or your school name, or you can do a banner, right, at the bottom or at the top. And you can definitely color this in. Now, if you want, we have all 3 of the videos that we've done this week that will be up on our website. And there's also a free downloadable PDF that has a coat of arms coloring page, Neuschwanstein coloring page, and our swan coloring page that you can download for free. If you can print them out, then you can color them with marker or with crayon or whatever you want. But I hope that you'll share your coat of arms with me. And believe me, this is a little bit of detail. If you want to go crazy and add a lot of detail to yours, you can go in and add another border to your shield on the outside. You can do a beautiful design within the inner shield, maybe of 2 swords crossing. Anything your heart desires, you can go crazy, all right? But I'd love to see them. If you can post them in the comments, that would be fantastic. All right, have a great weekend, and maybe we'll see you next week.